the magic, so we
We're
can
going live
feel
right now.
comfortable.
So we're going live. We're gonna transition.
Is it live now?
We are live
Is it
now.
live?
And
On
Are we
air.
live yet?
we
You
are
need
on
to have
air.
the sign on air, like on,
on
air.
You know? Yeah, we're on
Is it?
air.
Are we?
Yeah, we're
So-
on air.
If
We're
I go
here.
to the YouTube channel,
Yeah.
Real
will I
air.
actually see us?
look,
Yeah, you'll see us.
It was the first step in my life to become a media person.
Yeah, I just have to now. I have to ask the audience as they start
It's definitely
trickling in.
stretched.
I know it's stretched.
Everyone's
Live now.
okay.
It's just a little
Oh,
stretched.
wow.
I couldn't
That's
get it
just something
perfect.
That's just something that we're happy with.
I don't like how you guys are now like hating
It's
on
also
me.
inversed, or is it how it's supposed to be?
Mirrored, yeah.
Slightly mirrored.
Mirrored.
Oh my god, I'm stretched as hell.
Hey, deal with it. They don't care about your face that much.
Has anyone seen Wide Putin?
We just need to get the audio issues fixed out before people come in. We got a few people.
At NPA/KP in the chat.
I feel like that's what's his name. Is that Kevin?
Yeah.
Oh. So rather than being on here, he's in there.
Yeah.
Nice. That's great.
It is.
Yeah.
We got a fan.
A fan that works for us. Or with us.
Paid actor.
A paid actor. It is true.
Who knows?
Well, I guess we don't really. I guess we don't have audio issues, so no one at least has been kind enough to let us know that we have audio issues.
It's probably because they can't hear us.
That would be hilarious, actually. You know what? Now I'm sketched a little bit. I'm gonna ask Kevin if he can hear us.
Audio is fine. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right.
Cool.
All right. Well, welcome to the Q&A. Lee is otherwise known as IO, is going to be the guy that's going to be moderating everything, asking the questions. I'm Adrian Gutierrez. In Discord, I'm Adrian, head of growth at Leetify. On the upper screen here is Vitaly with me. He's our CTO, one of the founders as well as Leetify. There you go. We got Vadim, one of the first guys to join on and do a lot of the dev work alongside Vitaly. And then Io, Lee, he'll introduce himself as he's moderating. So take it away.
Cool, yeah. I'm Io. I'm just another dev. So, obviously I had quite a few questions in the Discord channel, and it's open to more to be asked in there whilst we're going. Probably pick some out as we're scrolling through. Some of them are going to be to different members of the team. Some of them will be all of the members of the team, hopefully. So I'll just start rattling them off. I suppose the first one is a more, and the majority of the questions, to be fair, are quite technical. It seems we've had a lot of people interested in the development side of Leetify. So if you're not interested in that, there are some other questions about Leetify itself as well. So stick around for those. But yeah, the first one, quite a technical one. Why JavaScript and not any other language like C#? Someone asked. Vitaly, do you want to take this one?
No, that's a good question. Like, I don't know why. I think I just knew that. So it was a choice between JavaScript and PHP. Obviously, I went with JavaScript because you can't go wrong with this choice. I mean, like when choosing between PHP and JavaScript. But yeah, like apart from that, I think it works well on the low level, for the low level stuff, as well as for the high level. Like you can do a lot of stuff in the browser. You can write memory efficient code for the server as well, which makes it a very versatile tool. And also, I think the amount of people who know JavaScript is much more than of those who know, I don't know, other languages. So the pool of people that we can work with is larger. I don't know, but like, how do you feel about that, Lee?
Yeah,
because not everyone knew, like that wasn't like a language of choice of everyone on our team.
Sure, and so coming from my background in C#, like that's what a lot of my projects previously and where I've worked previously, that's what that was all written in. So yeah, JavaScript just seems to be a nice fit and needs to be it seems to be a good thing for getting more developers on. I'd agree with all that, and it doesn't have many downsides compared to other languages either. So it's pretty cool.
I'd say that like there's one important distinction is that we don't use plain JavaScript, but we use TypeScript with that, because that's what makes it workable for a team that is bigger than one person. Because otherwise, with JavaScript being a like dynamic, like not statically typed language, it becomes very prone to errors, like to human errors. But with TypeScript, it's much easier.
Cool. Okay. Some of the I'm just trying to bunch. So I've been looking over here, just trying to bunch some of the development questions together, just so we have those in one section. Another one is I'm pretty sure it's by someone I know actually, and I'm pretty sure they're trying to catch me out here. They've said who writes the nicest code and who writes the ugliest code. I don't know whether I want to say who wrote the ugliest code.
Tricky. Like that's.
It's probably me.
Do they want us to start fighting or what? Like it sounds like a trolling question.
Are you
But,
guys?
like-
but are you guys
against me?
Are you guys excluding Anders from this at the beginning? I mean,
That's a great point.
you guys could just
Yeah.
throw it on him. Like,
And he's not here
That was
too.
a discrimination question. Who answers this? Who just points the other guy? Who, if two of us will point the guy, yeah, who writes the ugliest codes? The guy
Actually, like on the ugliest part, I know I can address that. I think so. We actually one developer less now. So I guess that kind of settles the ugliest code argument for us.
Oh, we're picking on the guy that left. That's not fair.
Yeah, no, it's not fair. So let me, I don't know, I untangle this tricky situation. I would say so that when my code works, I'm writing the most beautiful code. But when my code doesn't, I write the ugliest code. And to be fair and to approach this question seriously, it really depends on your condition and your state of the mind and the mindset you're approaching the development process at the time. Sometimes you may be a super rock star and building stellar beautiful code, but the other day when you're tired or when you're depressed or when you have a lot of distractions around you, you definitely can be not in your best shape and bring some ugly code to life. So it's fair enough, guys. I don't know, like always track your condition, track your mood, track everything, and don't be lazy to recheck your code afterwards, because the day after you have pushed something, I don't know, to the GitHub or deployed on the staging, you might find it not so brilliant as it was yesterday.
That's very true, and usually the case that, certainly now anyway, that when things get to the point where they're in front of the people that actually use Leetify, their code tends to be cleaned up quite a bit from when it started out as a feature when we were just developing it. So. Cool, moving on slightly then. This one is something that I've seen quite often in the Discord, as well as asked again for this. Is there going to be a public API planned so other people could work with the data that we have? I'm going to throw this hand grenade over to Vitaly.
Well, we'll see where the. It's more like if it's a business question, then we'll see where the market pool comes from. But I don't think that there's going to be a public API in any foreseeable future. However, like things change constantly, so you never know.
Knowledge is power. Got it well.
Another one, slightly dev related, is how much time was spent in architecture/design before starting implementation? So I suppose this depends on this sort of the scope of the question. If you're asking for like individual parts of Leetify, so like for example the map tools or the any single stat, the design stage is I don't know. It depends how much impact that individual feature is going to have. For like an individual stat, it might be a very short design phase. For something large like the team finder, you know, there's quite a few iterations spent there, quite a little bit of time that we took to design that and make sure that that was right. And even then, it wasn't necessarily enough. But yeah, I don't know whether anyone else has any thoughts.
Maybe I have a couple of thoughts to add. That we have, I don't know, the different starting points of iterating over new stuff, and when it comes to Leetify as a product itself, we should remember that it's deeply data driven. So sometimes we know that we can fetch this kind of data, but we don't know beforehand how we should present or how or where it should be placed. So sometimes we have the data, we know that we want to present this data to the users, but still don't know how we should lay it down. But sometimes we have the ideas pool that we, for example, want to see this kind of page with this kind of information. And of course, then we have like a little bit more time to let us be driven by the look and feel of the product rather than the data we can present.
Next question then. This is one for, or it was asked towards Adrian. I suppose we can all answer individually as well. But if you want to go first, Adrian, what are you most proud of individually about the platform? I suppose the platform and the community, everything is fair game.
Man, it's different, you know, if you look at it from a tech standpoint. I mean, you guys can probably point to some of the features or, you know, the underlying stuff you've done. Because I touch on so much, I think mine's a little bit more generalized. Really, I just love that we've been able to actually get out into, you know, the market, the community of CSGO, get adoption from a crap ton of users. And then that just lets us know that we're providing value to the community, looking through how people use the product. It you know, gives me something to dig into like every day, just to see like, you know, is this feature going over as well as we thought it would, and let me know like, do I need to reach out to more people, talk to them, like what else do we need to do, you know, where are we hitting, where are we missing. So I think overall it's just like have like that our product already has like a very active like user base that communicates back to us very willingly, because everybody here is pretty much just focused on trying to help each other improve. And so like I just love that the product's actually providing value to the community instead of just floundering. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, obviously, but generally that's really what I'm proud of, is just being able to work with the product that is helping people already and just figuring out ways to help them better as well as reach more people.
Cool. We'll move to Vitaly. If you want to answer the same question, what are you most proud of so far?
Sure. I like
No
for me,
spoilers.
it's many things. There's things on the community level. I'm very proud of being able to touch so many lives, in a sense that I know, like I have the feeling that we do something good and that a lot of people are getting some value out of it. So that makes me feel very good. Like on the technical side, I'm also proud of the fact that we've managed to build a very good solution for a non-trivial the non-trivial problems. And like for anyone who have ever tried making their own demo parser, they know the struggle. They know what the problems are. And knowing that we overcame a lot of them makes me very proud. And the credit here actually goes to the team.
So I'll go next. I agree completely with everything that everyone said so far. I think it's pretty good. Certainly the technical side, obviously being privy to the technical side, it's there's quite a lot that goes on and a huge amount of data. It's quite humbling to see how much data we're dealing with, and also quite cool that we're actually dealing with it usually without anyone noticing how how much is going on. Another thing that I'm quite happy with and quite proud of is the community that we've got. We've got a great bunch of people on the Discord, a great bunch of people giving us feedback all the time, emailing Anders as well. A lot of people have very, very positive feedback, sometimes quite critical feedback, but that's also great to hear. People helping each other out in the support channels and things on Discord where, if we're too busy or we're asleep even, other people will answer questions. And I think that's really cool. Vadim, same question to you as well. What are you proud of?
I just glad that you have noted that we are sleeping sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course, I want to agree with everything that was said before, and I'm also the part of the team, and as on behalf of the team, it will be very complicated for me to pick one certain feature and to say, okay, I'm proud of it the most. But maybe this is just a historical aspect for me that I've witnessed the Leetify from the very first day with Vitaly and with Anders, and I remember how it looked at its first days, and it was so simple, was so no, I love Leetify. Even back at those days, it was so primitive, and now we have a solid application that helps people to solve their problems, that help community to improve their skills, to hone their Counter-Strike performance, and it makes me proud. And the velocity of the progress we've made through these years, I don't know, it's very inspiring, really, really inspiring, because I know that there are a lot of products with much bigger budgets, with much more finances, and that exist for a longer lifespan. And as a proud member of Leetify, I say they are no match to Leetify.
Yeah, that's a great point as well. Some of the technical challenges that we've overcome, we've not seen overcome by other ones. Other products that do similar things or touch the same sort of area. So I like that as well. It's a good one. Cool. Next question. How big is the Leetify backlog? So all the extra features and all the things we want to add. Huge.
Infinite.
I
could put an elephant there. Let's play a game. Can you put an elephant into Leetify's backlog? Yes. Could you put a black hole there? I think so. It's the whole universe.
For the size, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty huge. Some of the other questions as well that we've got will lead into just quite how big and how grand our ideas are for going forward. Our problem is not how many ideas and what we want to tackle with the product. That isn't our problem. We don't have a problem generating ideas. It's about how many people we have in order to tackle those ideas, and then structuring it in a way so that we tackle each thing when it's the right time to do so. That I'd say that's the biggest problem with having a huge backlog like we do. So one that might slightly lead into that then, will Leetify in the future be able to analyze other games as well? Vitaly, do you want to take that one?
I think we're all on the same page here, definitely. Which game will be the question though? I think we're leaning towards Valorant, but it's all up for discussion.
Yeah, I think I'd agree.
And not set in stone.
The one that has the most similarities probably with what we're doing already is going to be Valorant. There's no real question about that so far. The question is when is the right time to do that? How much will it divide our time to support both and things like that? But this sort of supporting multiple games is way further down the line, something that we're not going to tackle for quite a while, unfortunately.
It builds a complete certainty that adding more games to Leetify will turn our backlog into 2 black holes. or into two elephants.
I don't know. Ideally, if you look at it from like the business side of it, is before we want to jump into a different game as well, is like you want to figure out as much as you can in one game to have a playbook of like how you're going to approach another one. So essentially, we're not starting out how Leetify started out, as an MVP. We're starting out with like we can essentially port a bunch of stuff over because we know like what we're going to kind of experience. So essentially, we know 80% of it, and then 20% is unknown. So yeah, it won't be for a while, but I mean that's where you start getting into the difference of like business like approaches. Like we're a product led company. Like we grow by increasing the value in our product and using that as a lever to attract people and retain users. So I mean like if we just jump into another game without knowing like how to do what we do to a good effect, like then we just shoot ourselves in the foot essentially.
Okay, shifting gears slightly now. It's unfortunate that Anders couldn't be here because he's probably one of the best to answer this question. How did you spend the investment you got a little while back?
As you can see, like the sheer fact that Anders is not here and he's on vacation.
And his shiny new Tesla.
We can speculate.
Judging from our staff section in Discord growing almost by the week, probably not, more likely the month at the minute, that tends to be where the biggest focus on money has gone, so far as I'm aware. Just, yeah. We don't mention anything else. All the servers, obviously expanding our capabilities to be able to analyze everyone's games and stuff, as well as the user base growing. That's obviously a huge cost as well. But definitely growing the team, I think, is the biggest area where we've spent money. So somewhat related to that, is Leetify profitable? Now, I don't know whether this is strictly allowed to be answered necessarily, but judging from the fact we've had investment and things, I'd imagine it's not really a secret.
We can just give the general boilerplate answer. We're a startup.
Yeah. Yeah.
Startup.
Judging by the fact that we've had investment as a startup company, the idea will be that we take investment and carry on building as fast as we can. So one that came off the back of the last community night, and it's bumbled around a little bit before here and there. Will there be Leetify merchandise?
Adrian, was it you who asked this question?
It wasn't me in the Discord, but I almost answered it, mainly because a lot of people were like giving it the thumbs up. I'm not gonna lie, I saw a company, like I saw like two companies today like get advertised, like the people that received like their collector's edition or whatever merchandise purchase were like super hyped about it. And then I just started thinking of ideas, but I'm not like a great designer, so I just started thinking I'm like, okay, like it would actually be pretty cool if we did do a hoodie or jersey or something like that, and I can always use another hat. So maybe, I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't know if we're in the merchandising game or not, or if we're just going to do internal merchandising so that we can all look super awesome when we meet up. Maybe
for the next dev Q&A.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a designer and you're watching this, or you know someone that is a designer in the community, send me over some mock-ups of jerseys, hoodies, hats, whatever. I'll take a look.
Yeah, that'd be really cool, actually. Cool. Okay, so shifting more into like what Leetify does as a platform, then do we have plans to create training maps to practice fundamentals and things outside of just stats? I think the answer to that is we do have plans to do that. It's like something we definitely want to do at some point, but when that point in time is, which is just an annoying answer for people, I'm sure. But yeah, it's like something we definitely want to tackle, but we don't have the skills in-house currently to be able to do that sort of thing. So both that and obviously it would be quite an investment of time to make sure everything talks properly and maps sends back the data that Leetify needs. So it's quite a big undertaking where if you wanted an offline map that doesn't connect with any data source, there are great ones already for that that we recommend on our platform already. So oh, that's part of the same question. Okay, how useful is Discord to the business?
I'll take it a little bit, and then Lee, obviously, I'll give it back to you because you love the community. To be honest, when I first joined, like I wasn't like I've seen active Discords, right? But I wasn't sure like how like beneficial it was going to be. But when I first started, I did a project like just trying to figure out who we had in the community, and just try to kind of segment out people and understand like who are the people that are really finding the value in the product, who can't we serve yet, stuff like that. And I mean, just seeing the response not only to like the survey I sent out, but also like the interview requests. I mean, I met with, I don't even remember, but I know I spent like a month and something just talking to people every day, from the community, from the product. I mean, looking at the support channel, realizing like that I don't always like I'm the one that's in the US. Everybody else is scattered throughout Europe. So like when they're asleep, I'm still partially awake, and just realizing that sometimes before I even look at the support channel, it's answered by someone. It honestly lets us like breathe a little bit and just be able to focus on the things that we need to focus on, and then jump in when we can. And I mean, like I check Discord fully probably 2-3 times a day, just to see any feedback that we have, maybe participate in some conversations. So I think to the business overall, it's a really good like interaction for us, like not only with feedback, with support, but getting to know people has been a really great upside. And that's part of why we're doing these community nights. That's why we've done like the interviews with like pros and stuff, just trying to figure out like what's the best medium like that we can exchange value to the community, and just kind of reward you guys for being so active, being so willing to talk and everything like that.
Yeah, totally. I think just another thing to add to that as well would be something I particularly like is that the community kind of keeps us in check a little bit. If we have ideas about how things should work, sometimes that wouldn't necessarily survive if it was out in the wild. So running those things by some more hardcore users that we have on Discord or people that are quite close to us, then that's useful to get that feedback early and help. Has anyone else any comments?
Yeah, sure. So like that's from the running a business point of view. It's like a lot has been said. It's also very helpful when the community members are engaging themselves in the support channel and are trying to help other users. That's like we developers appreciate that a lot. It really doesn't feel like that, but it helps us. It helps us by taking some of our responsibilities away from us, not away from us, but like basically doing our job to some extent. So we can focus on delivering the value or fixing the product, and building more things. But there is another important aspect to that, which is probably if it wasn't for Discord, there wouldn't be a business. In a sense that when we were just starting and we made this first Reddit post, as far as I remember, we had the sign up, like an email sign up form, and then a link to Discord. And when we saw a lot of people joining our Discords, we knew that we were up to something. And that was a big drive for us to keep moving and to keep building stuff, and actually like to keep exploring the niche.
Yeah. I would agree with Vitaly and with all the guys here that the community interest, the community involvement fuels us developers to build features and to learn features that we build from the other perspective that you giving us, guys.
Right. I don't know how many more questions we want to do. I've only got 4 more written down that I thought were particularly good, but So if you've got some questions, either in the chat or in the Discord, feel free to ask them, and we might squeeze them in. Yeah. So the next one: will there be a desktop client in the future? Do you want to answer that, Vitaly?
I don't think so. Like, again, it all comes down, like, we don't have the plans for that, but my personal opinion, I don't think there is a need for that. Other team members may have different opinions. I know that users for sure have different opinions. However, I personally prefer just having a web page, web app, just because for us developers, it helps us save, like, reuse a lot of stuff that we do, and helps us stay lean in a small team, and like to build a solution through the same platform, which is a browser that works on multiple devices, like, well, Mac, PC, phone, maybe, hopefully still works. I don't know. We try our best.
It works. It works.
Yeah. All right. But then, like, if we were to build essentially the same thing for desktop, that solves the same problem as the browser version does, it would just dilute our efforts. So that for us, we would solve the same problem, but in a slightly different way. So we would end up having two same solutions for the same problems, which I would rather spend this time building new features.
I think from I think from like a business perspective or a user perspective, it's more about like ease of accessibility. So I'll piss Vitaly off here is if you guys really want a feature, get together a huge like signature pool and tell us, like just gather all the thousands upon thousands of people that use Leetify, and let us know if that's 100% something you want. I mean, I'll be honest, and you can't hold me to this because I have no, like, I'm not going to be, designing it or anything. But I mean, I had a shower thought today. I was like, it would be badass if we were able to build like the Leetify application or port it over to Steam, and just be able to like completely integrate that there. It might be great for user experience, but I mean, again, when we come down to it as a startup, we're limited on our resources, and the big resource is time. So I mean, it really comes back to what Vitaly said. We want to figure out what we're solving and produce the solutions for that before just porting over and developing something else that doesn't actually get us to that point. And everything that we do here, like if you guys want us to build out training maps and all this stuff, it all takes that foundation. It takes the foundation of data, understanding like what statistics are relevant for people's improvement, and then using those statistics to fuel the insights for us to tell you how to actually get better at those. And then that gets into getting into the practice and everything on this. So it's like, we can't just do it piecewise, but and step into all these different arenas. We really need to have that solid foundation. And if you've played Valheim, and I know Vadim, over here struggled with that for a while, you can't just build no support pillars and then have a roof, or it's going to come crashing down. So we're doing what Vadim had to do over several hours upon hours upon hours, is build that structure so that we don't have the roof when we build it fall down. So.
Yeah, and also to add to that, I think because Adrian had a very good point about that. Like, we don't just do what we think makes sense. We do where the audience drags us to as well. Which means if we saw that there was a lot of demand for a certain platform, then we would act on that for sure. However, so far, there was not a lot of requests for this or that. I mean, when compared to the general population, sort of. Like, it's just a term I'm using.
I think you briefly touched on this, Adrian, but one of the benefits I would see, as well as I think Kevin in chat said it as well, but one of the benefits I would see in having a desktop client would be that we could interact with the game, a bit easier that way. So if/when we come around to making features that need that more real-time data from the game client, then perhaps at that point we can start looking into those things if we haven't already built ourselves a foundation to work from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, when we get to that point, like I don't think so. Like, here's the thing: is like we have these ideas, we have the roadmap, and it changes consistently as we experience new issues, or we develop new things, or we talk to more users. And that's the best thing about it. And that's what I've loved about being here, is we have never locked in and been like, this is exactly what we're going to do for the next year, no matter what, and then just steamrolled ahead. It hasn't happened, and I don't think it'll ever happen with the people that are on this team and with Anders and Vitaly's leadership. Like, it really comes down to is like, what are we experiencing, and does that pull us, a different direction than what we wanted to do or what we thought we needed to do. So I mean, yeah, if we get to that point where we need that like live stream of information to actually provide that solution, it's not off the table. And I think Vitaly would probably agree with that.
Okay, moving slightly onwards. This is a really good one for you, Vitaly. Will Leetify be able to detect cheaters in your matches in the future?
I'll give it to the team. He's like, it's a very painful point for him.
Yeah. Well, so why are we careful about such kind of features is because when you guys play the games against the cheaters, you can revisit the match details page and try to compare how the cheater looks like among other players. Sometimes when it's a blatant cheaters, you definitely will identify them by obvious traits like, I don't know, one 1 millisecond time to damage, or 0 degrees pre-aim. But a lot of times when you're facing the cheaters, they are not so obvious. So when we will try to build something to identify cheaters, we should be ethically correct not to bring false positive accusations on the players who are not cheating but who are just good in the game. And to identify cheaters with 100% definitive judgment that, okay, the guy is cheating, it's not such a plain and clear task to complete. So we have to account on, I think, a lot of measurements of the player statistics and performance, combine them with the historical record if that or this player had back bans on his account in the history. And we can't say the judgment again. We can say that, okay, probably you've played the match that contained a cheater, and this guy, maybe it will be a score or something else, but we don't be 100% certain that this guy was a cheater right away, of course, if he doesn't receives the VAC ban afterwards. But yeah,
Sorry, go on.
no, go on.
I guess what we would rather do, not rather, but probably the first steps, we could definitely build a tool that would serve as a helper for the existing Overwatch system, that would basically let the community identify cheaters with more convenience. So that, for instance, they would get the timestamps of all the suspicious movements and events by a certain player, so that it will make the demo reviewing easier for whoever is on the Overwatch watch. But calling someone a cheater, I'm not sure if we'll get there soon, because that requires a lot of responsibility.
And it's also something that we've not got any authority with as well. Like, if we say someone is a cheater, what does that do? Ultimately, it doesn't really do a lot other than make you feel possibly slightly better about the match that you played. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to change anything. Like, Valve aren't going to go, oh, Leetify said that they're cheating, so we'll just ban them. So maybe if we have that sort of relationship with some providers at some point, then maybe we can be that authority. But like, it stands on other foundational technologies that we've not got yet. Obviously, we've got the stats, and we can probably indicate who we think is likely cheating. But sometimes, I mean, I have great games, so and I'm often called a cheater. So who knows?
You guys got it here first. IOE is a cheater.
Stated
Okay,
up.
moving swiftly onwards from cheating.
Of course.
Do we have any plans to support ESEA?
Like financially, or
To keep them propped up. I think, yes, we've got plans to import their demos at some point, but A, it requires us being able to get them, B, it requires us being able to parse them, because they're actually, if you look at the technology underneath, they use a different format to slightly different format of the round to other providers. So it's not as simple as just pulling them in, unfortunately. But when we figure the problems that we have there, we'll definitely try and support them, at least for manual upload first, and then hopefully try and get some sort of automatic pull in later on.
and again, like the more it holds true for any feature request that we have. The more community, the more requests we get from the community for this or that thing, the higher it gets in our priorities list. So the same goes for integrations with different data sources.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit to it, a lot of these integrations too usually take a partnership. You know, we have to reach out to Faceit, Tease Portal, or they reach out to us when they find out that we've been going through their public API. I mean, so it's not as easy as just grabbing every single demo, technical issues aside, and just porting it in. Again, it's their match servers, so at some point we almost have to come in to get permission from them, especially if it's automatic. Manual, I think it's a little bit different, but I mean, it's not as simple as just figuring out the technical and then putting it in there. It's complex because you have to figure out the technical, as Lee said, and then you also have to ask these businesses for their permission most of the time, or get in trouble, if you don't.
Definitely. Shifting gears ever so slightly again, can we showcase the fastest flicks from every match, or like a general alt flick thing? I think that's something that's been on the backlog for quite a while. But yeah, I mean, some of the other providers out there do similar things. We don't necessarily agree with the way that they display the data. We've thought of ways that we can show that sort of thing, but again, it's just when we get around to doing it and making sure that we do it right. Cool. My last question. I can see another one in the Discord as well, actually, that I'll pick up after this one. But can we curate highlights and mistakes from games, like as a video? So I've seen this question a little bit more.
So like highlighting the, let's call them misplays or some like interesting events is definitely on our radar. It probably won't be displayed in the video unless we decide to make a piece of content on that. But it'll be displayed in some format that makes it easy to digest, something like a built-in player or whatnot.
But then again, whenever we get around to doing that, it's a stock answer. Can we have a browser extension? And I'm going to add something else to this. Can we add a Discord command for comparing yourself to someone else? That's a question I've seen a couple of times, certainly about the Discord command. But then this person's asking for a browser extension as well. It's one of those things that's technically all of the above is possible. It's just if we want to choose our time to do that versus implementing something else again. I hate sounding like a broken record, but if and when we get around to it, yeah, it's absolutely possible.
I mean, we just get a lot of requests, obviously, for like these small things that are like, they're cool, they have uses, but we always have to weigh between like doing like these small things that are going to make the community happy and might find some use, but they're outside of what our actual scope of work is, right? Again, we want to help people improve, and browser extension that just compares people, isn't really super aligned with that. But sometimes, I mean, since I've been here, I've seen those little things get thrown in to where someone just spends a few days putting it together, and it goes over rather well. But I mean, like, we have to mix all that in with our main priority. But yeah, Lee has the best answer to this. Yes, we can.
And also, just to expand our way of thinking on that a bit, is that so we often get a request from the community for something like, can we compare ourselves to other users via Discord? The way we see it, it's not necessarily like we need to build a Discord bot that makes it possible. The way we think about it is like, what is the problem that the users are trying to solve? And how can we make a solution that integrates well into our existing ecosystem, that doesn't detract our focus, that doesn't reduce our value? Because if, for example, for this specific case, if we were to build a bot that would just take all the information that we have in the app and send it to your DM or to your group, this would take some value from us, because we want you to stay on the platform. We want you to come and visit our app. By having a Discord bot that just sends everything to your channel, we kind of reduce the possibility of you visiting our app. I guess that's just one way of thinking about it. So we would try to come up with a solution that from which you benefit as well as us.
Yeah, that's a great point. Someone else has asked in both the chat and in Discord, so they really want it answered. What is the problems? And asked again, what's the problem without having a UI/UX designer? And I think partially that the answer is pretty obvious. If you take a look through our app, there's a lot of things that are sometimes not consistent. There's a lot of things where we want to improve how you would use it and improve how visible things are. And also sometimes that we just think that certain tools or certain features of the app just don't really work too well, but they've been there for a little while. So perhaps someone coming in with fresh ideas about how to make that work better is just the thing that we need. I don't know if anyone else wants to tackle this as well.
Yeah, I could add more to that. That, for instance, it's like I'm aware that my problem as a developer is that I am trying to flex, I don't know, to show off my solution. And what that means is that whenever I build something, especially when it comes to getting some data, my instinct is to throw all the data at the user, like to show everything, which makes me which makes me feel very proud, because like, hey, look, I've built so much, but it doesn't necessarily make sense for the user, and we don't want to confuse you with the data. So whenever we build something, there is a few more iterations of us reducing the feature, actually like trying to display only the essentials, and sometimes even less than that. Sometimes we would leave that as a possibility to drill down to get all the information, but would only display one simple message like, hey, you're doing good. And then our hope would be that eventually you'll so like the first time you see this sort of message, you'll be like, but what is good? Like, how do they know? Then you can drill down. You can check why we think so. And then eventually you'll just start trusting us. You'll start trusting in our data. And then you'll be happy with just having this little message that kind of summarizes all the data that we have. And there always be an option to drill it down, to expand on that.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vadim, did you want to add more?
Oh, go
Yeah,
ahead,
I'll
Vadim.
probably add the one idea is that the project currently is carried by only the developers who are on the full stack. So they are dealing basically with all the backend, with all the database layer, imports layer, and with the front end part of the application. And of course, when you're like trying to pay attention to such various directions of the application, you have to look for the trade-offs where you want to invest the most of your time and where it will give the best result. I think this is the first aspect, and the second aspect is that we are not the professionals in the UI or UX building, and here is the place where the tastes preferences kick in. Some one of us like this way of displaying the data, the other team member wants this way of displaying the data, and we don't have the ultimate judge who said, okay guys, it's your taste, but this is how it should be done and this how it should work. So I think that like moving this part of thinking from our day-to-day schedule to the person who is solely responsible for solving these questions will help us a lot to focus on delivering business logic of the application.
Yeah.
Adrian, did you have something you wanted to add? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, the UX really is, the UX UI person is really just the bridge between like the super technical side and then the user side, and in part business. I mean, you know, part of what I do focusing on growth is really trying to figure out our users and their patterns and what they want to do and what they're looking for. And then when we actually have like a UX UI person, they're the ones that take that and they take the technical side too, and then they start looking at it from a user perspective, and they're like, okay, 80%, 20%, you know, like how are users going to find the most value out of this? How can I structure it like that? And then at the same time, how do I display it that makes sense, you know, to us as devs? So I mean, that's where their huge value is just really taking what the user needs to experience to find value, and just being able to work with our team and what like we each do and figure out the best way to actually lay that out so that it doesn't look horrendous to us and it doesn't look horrendous to the user. It's finding that good middle ground. So I think that's been the biggest thing, because like now that we've been without one, you know, and we've developed a lot more features and we've gotten more content externally and everything like that, there's just like, we're missing that bridge that gaps all the different things. And that's really the key thing that a UX UI person does. So yeah. But I know that
beautifully said. Beautifully said.
Yes. I mean, Vadim covered a lot of it. I mean, it really is there, that bridge. So I'm really looking forward to having one. I'm getting tired of doing like external graphics. It wipes me out because I literally have to do so much research on just basic design principles and then go do something and then have someone call it shit. You know, kind of kills all my enthusiasm for spending more hours doing it. But yeah, so I know that we're coming to a close here. So, you know, we got a couple questions still coming in, but I guess, you know, just kick it into a different gear versus just asking about the product itself. Someone's been spamming all the chats asking how old each of us are. So I'll let the oldest guy that I'm pretty sure is answer this. I can either call him out or he can unmute himself and answer.
The problem is that who will start talking first will be the oldest guy, so...
You won.
Yeah, I guess I won that. Well, I am the oldest gear in all the mechanism, but I still hope that I'm keeping up with the modern trends and everything else, and I'm 33 right now. That's it. I'm just passing the mic to the other oldest guy.
Now that's where we don't know, because I'm 27.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm 27.
I don't even know like who's what. I don't like. I barely know my age. I ask that question myself that like not that often. The only thing I remember though is that it's 1988, which is the year of birth, and then every time I have to do the math. So then like you can do it yourselves.
Wait, you're 32?
Is it 10?
Are you about
Are-
are you
are
about to turn
we-
33?
In summer, yeah.
I'm
guess.
fine.
Well,
I'm
then,
finding
that'll
out.
be you then.
I'm finding out new things. So
Yeah.
I thought you were maybe 28, 29. So there you go. You look so
Aw,
youthful.
That's cute.
Yeah, you look so youthful. Lee, how about yourself?
Well,
Surprise me.
Swapping it around, I probably look maybe mid-30s or something, but I'm 27 as well,
Okay.
I think.
You-
But I don't often think about it either.
Okay.
So it took me a moment.
All right, 2 more fun questions. One of them, it's a little technical, but how much data do you guys think we have saved right now?
Lee, you wanna go?
I don't know for definite. It's hundreds of gigabytes left. I checked,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
I was about to just throw in the joke, but I don't know if it fits this shot. Like,
No, it's I'll interrupt you before you
okay.
finish your joke. It's
Yep.
terabytes, and disk space is one of the problems that we're going to face at some time.
All right. And then it looks like there's one last fun one for the most part, and that is what are your guys' preferred keyboards to use when you code? Jesus, sorry we forgot that Vitaly, codes on a Mac. We're really sorry about that, guys. I shouldn't have asked that
There's
question.
always one.
Are you
Yeah.
going to edit it? Are you going to edit this?
Yeah.
Cut him out
Yeah.
of that one.
I'm gonna put like
it was,
clip
it,
art.
It was a blatant product placement. We can't do that.
I'm gonna put clip art over the VOD later on. Just old Logitech keyboard from like the early '90s or something. Jesus. I know you have like 2 different. Yeah, you have like that mini one, right?
Yeah, I have this one, which is it's an I don't know whether you can even see that. It's going to be hella blurry on the VOD as well. An An Pro 2 I have, and then I recently moved away from that one because it's like a tiny one. But it's got, to answer the rest of the question as well, it's got brown switches in it, which I quite like.
I forgot about the Switch question. I don't really code except for when I'm doing stuff in Python when it's around like just data analytics. But I bought myself the K100 from Corsair, maybe because I just like the clickety-clack sounds. So I haven't done anything else with it, even though it has like 1,000 macro things in it. And there
I
you
also
go.
have an old Corsair one as well
Yeah,
that I moved away from.
that's because you're a hater.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, we're coming to a close here. I don't think there's any other real tight questions that we have time to answer. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this. You found some, value out of hearing the behind the scenes kind of things. So yeah, if you guys like we said multiple times during this, if there's a feature specifically that you guys, find a huge amount of value in that we're not working on, get a whole entire signature thing going and, bug us with hundreds upon hundreds of requests. Because to be honest, if it's 1 or 2 people, we'll write it down, but then it's up to us to evaluate whether or not that's going to fit into the mode. But it was great having everybody here, having all these questions. Feel free to keep on talking to Discord and asking us questions as the days go on. And hopefully we can do this in 6 months, a year, whenever else feels appropriate. And maybe it won't just be us 4, but it'll be more of the team, So, but have a great night for those of you not in the U.S., and then have a great day for those of you in the U.S. It was great talking to everybody.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
See ya, guys.